First PUC midterm exam is near. From first PUC Biology, here are the important questions with answers for the coming exams. The first chapter is Living World. So in this chapter, remember about the binomial nomenclature definition, taxon definition, and the Carolus Linnaeus who proposed binomial nomenclature. Definition of species also very important. Then the universal rules to give the nomenclaturing is very important for 3 or 5 marks. Definition of genus, taxonomic hierarchy, full form of ICBN and ICZN. Definition of biodiversity and taxonomy is very important to the exam. Then from second chapter, biological classification, diagram of tobacco mosaic virus and bacteriophage is very important for 3 marks. Then remember about mycorrhiza, it is the association of fungal filament with the roots. And remember in lichens, which is a symbiotic association of algae and fungi, algal component is called as phycobiont, fungal component is called as mycobiont. Difference between virus and viroids are very important. In virus we can find both nucleic acid and protein, whereas in viroids we can only find RNA without protein. Then the 5 kingdom classification is given by R.H. Whitaker, and the criteria he used to classify the organism is cell structure, body organization, of mode of nutrition, and phylogenetic classification. Then based on the shape, there are 4 types of bacteria: Coccus, Bacillus, Spirillum, and Vibrio. And based on the nutrition, there are 2 types of bacteria: autotrophic and heterotrophic. Autotrophic either photosynthetic or chemosynthetic, heterotrophic either parasitic or saprophytic. Archaebacteria are the bacteria that can survive in harsh habitat. If they are surviving in extreme salty habitat, they are called as halophiles. Extreme acidic habitat, acidophiles. Hot spring, thermophiles. And if the bacteria present in marshy places are in the gut of the animal which produce methane gas, they are called as methanogen. Then the diagram of nostoc filament or blue-green algae is very important. In nostoc, there is a cell called heterocyst which fixes nitrogen. Atmospheric nitrogen very important. Mycoplasma is the smallest living cell which can survive without oxygen. Then diatomaceous earth definition is very important. The diatom after their death, the cell wall deposition forms diatomaceous earth which helps in polishing and filtration of oils and syrups. And red tide is produced by one of the organism called goniolochs, one of the algae. Then aggregates of slime molds is called as plasmodium. Mycorrhiza definition, mycelium definition, coinocytic hyphae, very important. Then example for parasitic plant is Cuscuta. Capsomere are the units of capsid, and capsid is the protein coat of virus, for example bacteriophage. Then the indicator of pollutions are lichens. Then from the third chapter, plant kingdom, for 5 marks, any 5 features of gymnosperm you remember. Especially whatever I have marked, they are also important for 1 mark, especially mycorrhiza and coralloid roots are very important. Then any 2 economic importance of algae, please remember, for 2 marks. Then any 5 characteristics features of pteridophytes are very important to the 5 marks. For 3 marks, remember any 3 features of bryophytes, and bryophytes are the amphibians of plant kingdom. If they are asking for 5 marks, along with these 3 points, you can include the protonema, which is a stage in the life cycle of bryophyte, that is especially in the moss. Then the example for heterosporous pteridophyte is Selaginella and Selvina. And agar is the commercial product obtained from Gelidium glaciaria, which is used to prepare creams and jellies. The algae rich in protein is Chlorella and Spirulina. They are used as protein supplement. And pyrenoids are the storage bodies in Chlorophyceae. The pigment responsible for red color in Rhodophyceae is phycoerythrin. And the use of sphagnum is it provides peat which can be used as fuel. Then the tallest gymnosperm is redwood tree or Civicia. Then from the 4th chapter, animal kingdom, remember the definition of bilateral symmetry and radial symmetry. Then the difference between chondrochites and osteochites. Chondrochites are cartilaginous fishes and osteochites are the bony fishes. Their differences are very important. This chapter has one more difference, chordates and non-chordates. It is also very important to the exam. And for 2 marks, remember the modification of birds for flight. where four limbs are modified into wings and they have pneumatic bones. Body is covered by feathers, boat shaped body. Any 2 3 points you can remember. Remember any 5 points of phylum Annelida, definition of acoelomites and example. For 5 marks, the features of arthropoda is very very important. It is the largest phylum in the animal kingdom. And remember about for 1 mark the last the role of malpighian stipules. It helps in excretion. Then the silent features of class Mammalia. Any 5 features you remember, very important to the exam. Then amphibia. Any 5 features you remember for 5 marks. Then phylum Platyhelminthes, it is also very very important for 3 or 5 marks. Then phylum Mollusca, it is the second largest phylum. It is also very important to the 5 marks. Then remember about, they'll give some examples of animals. You need to identify their phylum. For example, Eusophonia or the sponges. Sea urchin belongs to Echinodermata. Nereis is Annelida. Dentalium is one of the mollusca. Bernoglossus is Hemichordata. Like that, you need to identify the phylum based on the animals. And remember about the function of flame cells and nephridia. Both function is helps in excretion and maintenance of osmoregulation. And remember in tube feet, they are helpful in locomotion. Endoderm is a inner layer, germ layer, and radula is helps in rasping organ for feeding in mollusca. Then the next chapter is morphology of flowering plants. In this chapter, definition of venation, aestivation, phyllotaxy and its types are very important, and classification of flowers based on the position of ovary, hypogynous, perigynous, epigynous, also very important. Definition of adventitious root, parthenocarpic fruits are very important. Then the 4 holes of the flower are very important for 2 marks, calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Then aestivation definition and its types is important for 5 marks. This is a definition, and these are the 4 types of aestivation, very important to the exam. Then the definition of epipetalous, where stamens are attached to petals. Epiphyllous, where stamens are attached to perianth. Staminode are the sterile stamen, and pulvinous is a leaf base. These are also very important. Another 5 marks question from this chapter is placentation and its types along with the examples are very important to the exam for 5 marks. Then from anatomy of flowering plants, either the diagram of TS of dicot root or TS of monocot root, or the diagram of stomata. Remember about that stomata in monocot is of dumbbell shape, and in dicot it is of bean shape. Then from structural organization of animal, the diagrammatic representation of internal organ of frog showing complete digestive system is important for 5 marks. Then from cell, the unit of life chapter, diagram of nucleus, label diagram of nucleus. Then the function of chloroplast helps in photosynthesis. Cytoskeleton gives mechanical support and helps in motility. Centrosome helps in cell division. Then the organs involved in endomembrane system are endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, lysosome and vacuoles. Then the function of ribosomes helps in protein synthesis, endoplasmic reticulum, lipid and protein synthesis, Golgi apparatus packing of proteins. Then for 5 marks, fluid mosaic model of plasma membrane proposed by Singer and Nicholson along with the points are very important to the exam. Then the definition of polysomes, where ribosomes, many ribosomes are attached to mRNA. Then the classification of chromosomes based on the position of the centromere, metacentric, submetacentric, acrocentric and telocentric are very important to the exam. Diagram of animal cell, label diagram of animal cell. Then these are the diagrammatic representation of chromosomes based on the position of centromere. It is also very important to the exam. Diagram of either mitochondria or chloroplast is also important for 2 or 3 marks. Then remember the 3 types of leucoplast and their function. Amyloplast that stores carbohydrate, elioplast that stores oils and fats, and eleuroplast that stores proteins. That is also very important to the exam. And leucoplast is the colorless plastis. It is meant for the storing of the nutrients. Then from biomolecules chapter, remember the enzyme activity decreases at high temperature because of protein gets denatured. Enzyme definition and its types, nothing but classification is very very important for 5 marks. Then the building blocks of proteins are amino acid, remember that. Then the definition difference between micromolecules and macromolecules also very important to the exam. If the molecular weight is less than 10,000 Dalton, it is micromolecule. If it is more, then it is called as macromolecules. Then remember about the structure of protein. It is studied in 4 levels: primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure, and quaternary structure. Then from cell cycle and cell division chapter, remember for 2 marks the features of metaphase. Then remember that DNA replication or DNA synthesis takes place in S phase of cell cycle. For 5 marks, very important, the difference between mitosis and meiosis are highly important to the exam. And cell cycle definition, significance of meiosis, even mitosis significance is also very important. Then definition of crossing over, prophase characteristics. Then the phases of cell cycle, G1, S, G2 phase, very important to the exam. And the characteristics of each phase, G1 phase, S phase, and G2 phase. And definition of cytokinesis and karyokinesis also important to the exam. Then for 2 marks, remember about the quiescent stage, also called as G0 phase. It is also very important to the exam. And in mitosis, you can find 4 phases: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. So these are the important question answers for the coming midterm exam in biology. Thank you.